like the idea of you getting into a car so soon.
I can't sit on this balcony forever. I'm beginning to feel like a potted plant.
How can you drive, James? You can barely walk.
Is traffic heavier now? There seem to be 3 times as many cars as there were before the accident.
Crash is a film that came out in 1996 that's written and directed by David Cronenberg. So Crash is a film that is actually this week's Pager Poll winner, and it won by the largest landslide that I've seen any film win by in any poll that I've ever put out there in the ether. And when it comes to Cronenberg's filmography, I've pretty much liked or loved everything that I've seen from him. I like The Brood, I like Videodrome, I love The Fly, I love Naked Lunch. Naked Lunch is arguably my favorite Cronenberg. It's kind of hard to decide at this point. And Eastern Promise is a film that I've seen recently from Cronenberg as well, and I surprisingly really like that film. It's a film that doesn't really get talked about that often, and perhaps it's because, you know, it doesn't deliver that classic body horror, sci-fi-esque stuff that Cronenberg fans really love from him. Same with The History of Violence. That film doesn't get talked about that much either. I haven't seen it, but I hear nothing but great things about it. And also Dead Ringers is another great Cronenberg film that I highly enjoyed. So overall, I've been pretty impressed with David Cronenberg's filmography, even though I have a lot to go. The chunk that I have seen, I've found a lot of enjoyment in it. And when it comes to Crash is probably one of his more divisive films. Everybody in my Discord pretty much loves this film. Maybe with a few exceptions, but the vast majority of the people in my Discord, they rave over this film. Some even call it a masterpiece. But when it comes to its overall reception, it's pretty divisive. There's plenty of people who don't like this film at all. And after watching it for myself, I gotta say that I fall into the camp of not really liking this film at all either. But that's not to say that this film is absolutely void of any qualities. There are some aspects of this film that I thought held up well. I kind of dug the score to this film. It has this kind of electric guitar string type of sound to it that is oddly fitting for the kind of metallic source material. There's a kind of sexiness to the sound, but at the same time sounds kind of haunting with the dash of impending doom. And also I am able to appreciate the bizarre concept that this film revolves around, which is essentially 2 main characters and also a bunch of characters surrounding these main characters. And they all develop and intensely indulge in this car crash fetish. And it's a kind of near-death thrill and risk that car crashes provide that gives them this aphrodisiac that they just can't shake off. Conceptually, I think it's interesting and there's a lot there. And also there are some scenes in this film that I thought were effective. One of the main scenes that come to mind is a scene where the main characters stop at a car crash site and, they're just kind of walking around and just getting off at this fatal car wreck. I thought the execution of that scene was effective, and conceptually, it is interesting, bizarre and absurd, but interesting nevertheless. And also, I gotta praise the performance from Elias Koteas. He plays such a slimeball in this movie. With every scene, you just feel like you can smell him, just like the stench that he would give off. And he plays such a perverse type of character with no boundaries. Really, that's every character in this movie, just perverse with no boundaries. But him especially, I think he kind of takes it to a different level in this film. And I just thought he embodied this type of character in a convincing way that definitely gets a reaction out of you. But the reason why I did not like this film, and overall think it borderline sucks, is the fact that, as I mentioned, conceptually, I think that there is a lot there, but I feel like it squanders so much of that potential. And it's not that this film having a lot of sexuality in it makes it not good, because there are plenty of films that have a lot of sexuality that I really enjoyed. Y Tu Mamá También is one of my favorite films of all time. Belladonna of Sadness, another great animation that is sexually charged to its core. With every sex scene that this film provides, it doesn't offer anything more than what you already get within the first 15 to 20 minutes of this film. I mean, sure, with every sex scene in this film, it feels like the main character and some of the characters surrounding him just keep diving further and further into just like pathetic and hollow territory, and their identity just continues to get lost, and the hollowness of their existence just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But again, with each sex scene, I don't feel like I'm getting anything new. It just feels like the same thing over and over again, but just in a slightly different way, as it just kind of gets more uncomfortable and bizarre. I feel like this film really could have benefited from having a lot more there narratively, and also having a lot more there character-wise. Because the vast majority of these characters I just thought were really uninteresting. The main character, played by James Spader.
There is only sex. Everything is sex.
Him and his wife just kind of feel like zombies throughout this film. And I understand that it's purposeful because, again, it's trying to demonstrate the type of hollowness of their relationship, the hollowness of what they feel in life. There's such an emptiness to, any kind of fulfillment that they feel in life. And a lot of that is a result from the fact that their lives are filled with sexual and financial excess, that the thrill and romantic element of sex alone, is no longer satisfying. And for that reason, they basically obsess over this car crash fetish because, again, there's that risk of the fact that they might actually die. And it's a kind of suicidal way to get off. And it's because they genuinely want to die. They don't really get any enjoyment in life anymore, at least not in a genuine way. And I feel like their inner desire for death is definitely demonstrated by the ending of this film, which I say, like, in terms of how it's shot, I like the ending shot to this film. And overall, I appreciated what it was going for, even though I didn't think it was all that effective. But what I'm trying to express to you guys is that I just needed more substantively, both character-wise, thematic-wise, narrative-wise. I feel like there needed to be a lot more of all that there, for me to, get more on board with this film and find it interesting. Because, again, what you get in the first 15 minutes, character-wise, narrative-wise, and, in terms of theme, I feel like is just what you're going to get throughout the rest of the film. And you have to sit through a bunch of different sex scenes that are, they get weirder and weirder, but that's basically it. I feel like that's really all the film provides. I just feel like I wasn't experiencing or really feeling anything new with each sex scene that I was seeing, no matter how bizarre and depressing it was. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I kept thinking to myself, why should I give a shit about anything that really happens in this movie? I mean, I understand that a film doesn't need to have, relatable or, virtuous characters for me to be invested or to be a good film overall. But there's just not enough substance or intrigue or really any personality with these characters that, makes me give a shit about what happens to any of them. And also there are many moments where I thought the writing was just kind of embarrassing. Again, I get what it's going for. There's this one scene where James Spader and Holly Hunter are having sex, and throughout the entire scene, Holly Hunter's character is basically verbally out loud fantasizing about having sex with Elias Koteas' character, and basically describing how slimy and dirty he is, and gets to the point where she's talking about how salty his semen may be. And to me, it's just stuff like that in this movie feels a bit unnatural and absurd. Honestly, there's a lot of aspects of this film that feel unnatural and absurd. Whether it's James Spader getting in a head-on collision at the beginning of this film, killing the victim's husband, and she's like immediately horny for him, just ready to fuck him immediately. Or whether it be all the people getting together that belong to this car crash fetish group, just watching, car crash test footage and just all in a circle, just getting horny with each other. Again, I don't mind absurdity in a film, but the way that the absurdity was demonstrated in this film, it just made me want to laugh at it more than embrace it like I do with other films. But anyway, just to sum all this up in a quick, organized way, the reason why this film didn't do it for me is because the characters and the narrative and even its theme felt incredibly one-dimensional, and conceptually, I feel like a lot of that potential was squandered. And I know that there's going to be plenty of people that are going to say that the point of this film just went way over my head, and I'm just not understanding what Cronenberg was going for. And I don't know. I guess I'm a fucking idiot. So I'm going to give Cronenberg's Crash a generous soft 5 out of 10. For the longest time, I was actually going to give this film a solid to strong 4. But, you know, I've seen worse movies than this. And also, like I said, I feel like the potential was insanely squandered. But also because of the fact that I was really bored during this movie, and I hate being bored during movies. And for a film that has this intense level of sexuality, I should not be bored. That should be the last thing on my mind. But anyway, I am dying to hear everybody's thoughts on this film. You know, it is a divisive movie. So in that regard, I do hope that I'm not alone on this. But even if I am, that's fine. I still want to hear what everybody has to say. I love reading through everybody's comments, even if I don't respond to all of them. I apologize. But either way, that's all I got to say about Crash. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about the film, just give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.